Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Mile High Game Guys board gaming podcast. I'm your host, Adrian.
And I'm Jeff.
And joining us for this episode is Ant again.
Not a surprise this time.
Yes. No, this time we very much planned for it. Now, before we get too far into this, important to say that this Wednesday episode, as all of the Wednesday episodes lately, is indeed sponsored by Gray Fox Games. And with that out of the way, you may have also noticed during the intro that there was something missing.
No Zach.
No Zach.
He's helping his mom move from Portland
Yes.
to Atlanta?
Georgia somewhere.
Georgia
yeah.
somewhere. I assume there's more than one city in Georgia besides Atlanta.
And you don't want to go to any of them.
Yeah.
Correct.
Because you are also from Georgia. I think
And
we've...
fuck going back.
Yeah. I think we've mentioned this maybe in the past, but...
And I was stationed in Georgia for a little bit, so
Yeah.
I also have ties to Georgia.
Gotcha.
As much as
I have
you
no
could say.
I have no ties to Georgia.
Good.
The country or the state.
I want to go to the country real bad.
I've
Megan
heard
had
it's
a
nice.
blast when she was there.
Yeah.
I think I have the Georgia flag.
I'm sure you
Yes.
do. Have you ever done anything with all of your flag collections since
At your new place?
since the move?
Oh, no, not yet.
Okay.
Missed out on Flag Day, which sucks, but
Gotcha. Have we talked about that in the past?
last week I mentioned I have a lot of flags.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
I still do have a lot of flags.
Yeah. But you'd always have fun facts about the country's flag.
Informational facts about the flags,
Yeah.
why they were chosen or what they represent.
You didn't do that for a long time, though, until eventually like somebody who walked by your place regularly mentioned that they appreciated like seeing the flags and then going home. Like they'd walk with their kid and they'd see the flag and then they'd go home and look up the country.
Yeah, there was a mother and son, and she would ride her bike to his elementary school with him. So as they passed our house, he would always try to guess what flags we have, and he wrote us a couple letters where she would write it, but he would sign it.
Yeah.
So we were like always like super motivated to try to like actually find this kid because all we got is random letters in the mailbox. But then last year is when we started doing it, and we started on Flag Day, and we did I always forget what it's called. There's a specific flag that was like before the Stars and Stripes.
Oh,
I'll
okay.
figure it out later. But we put that flag up, and with the informational fact that it was the very first flag for the United States.
Huh.
But it was basically a Union Jack in the corner with with
Oh.
the stripes.
Okay.
And since then, we've been I have a big chalkboard out, and we'll put out flag facts, and people like it.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a nice pedestrian street in Denver, so always
Yeah.
people walking by.
I'll have to do it on like the fence.
Yeah, that's the problem. It's
Yeah.
like we don't have a
Now
place
you have like a front yard instead of
Yeah.
a stoop.
so we're trying to figure it out still, and I'm kind of lazy about it.
Fair enough.
Lost all the motivation.
Well, I brought all the flags to Epic to try to hang them up for supporting the World Cup, and then Eric went out of town, and J Hood was like, "Yeah, I don't want those." I was like, I should have done it when Eric was still here.
He's back today.
Yeah, but now it's almost too late.
Yeah.
Womp
Yeah.
womp.
Womp womp indeed.
Speaking of World Cup,
Yes.
on lunch today,
Mhm.
I got to
Spoiler alert for World Cup.
Spoiler
that happened
alert.
3 days ago.
Yeah. I got to lunch just right before halftime in the Japan
Belgium.
Belgium game, and it was 0-0 at halftime, and then that second half was easily one of the most entertaining soccer matches I've personally ever watched. Japan had two beautiful shots, like just amazing shots, went up 2-0, and then it was back and forth a whole lot with really close misses on both sides. And then Belgium did two subs, scored 2 goals off of 2 ridiculous headers, came right down to it. They were in the like plus 4 minutes at the end of the match, and Japan made a shot that was narrowly blocked. And then when they kicked it back in, the goalie ran forward. The goalie for Belgium ran forward, grabbed the ball, like bowling rolled it way the shit out in front of him,
Uh-huh.
and got a big breakaway for his team. And they ran down there and kicked a goal with like, I don't know, 20, 30, 40 seconds, like less than a minute to go.
In the 94th minute.
Yes, in the 94th minute
Yeah.
to win the game 3-2. It was ridiculous.
Wow.
Easily, like I said, one of the most entertaining games of soccer I have personally ever witnessed. Really, really enjoyed it.
How's Portugal doing?
Portugal got knocked out almost immediately by Uruguay.
Gotcha.
But I had a blast.
Made it to the round of 16.
Well, yeah. Well, once you get to that was the first round of actual like single elimination though. Yeah.
Okay. I just noticed your
My Portugal scarf, yes,
Yeah.
that I got while I was in Portugal. And so I had fun with it though, because I was in Minnesota for a wedding over the weekend, and we were kind of watching the game with lunch, and I realized that, like when we went to Iceland 2 years ago, it was during the Euro Cup, and I learned that the Iceland cheer for their team is "O from Iceland," and it's just like "Go Iceland" in Icelandic. And so I got on Twitter and I tagged a bunch of the Portuguese people that I met while I was there for LierCon, and I was like, "Hey, what should I be chanting at the TV to show my support for Portugal in this game?" And all of their answers were various Portuguese phrases for like "fucking kick" or "kick you dickless mother" or something like just all kinds of very foul things like that. "Fucking goal," shit like that. It was great.
Right.
Like, this is why I had so much fun in Portugal. But yes, unfortunately, Portugal lost, and so they are out. Portugal's out, Morocco's out, Iceland's out,
gone. Germany's gone.
I haven't been to
gone.
I was going through all the countries I've been to because that's how I was choosing who to root for. It's like, what countries have I been to? And now they're all out. So now I have no dog in this race. Okay. I was going to root for Japan if I watched them pull that upset today. I was like, okay, cool. I'll ride Japan's coattails the rest of the way.
Well, now Belgium.
No, Belgium's, maybe.
Yeah.
They played a great game.
There you go.
And according to the people in the Mile High Game Guys sports sub channel on our Slack, they think that Belgium is one of the best chances to knock off Brazil, which apparently everybody's united in fuck Brazil.
Okay.
People don't like Brazil.
There's some guy that took a dive recently and was just rolling around on the ground, I think.
Okay.
And everyone hates that guy.
That one guy that dives.
Apparently he is very, very well known for it. I assume people that know soccer are knowing who I'm talking about. But I saw a video of that today and I was like, man, this is the reason I can't watch soccer.
Yeah. There weren't many. I didn't notice many, at least in the second half of that Japan-Belgium game. There was a couple where it was like, you probably didn't need to fall down so hard when you got bumped.
Yeah.
But they all seemed like they actually got, there was a little roughness.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That'll happen. It's a close game.
Indeed.
Yeah.
I mean, I usually watch every game in the World Cup, and this is the first year I kind of gave up on it, and now all of the teams that I support are just getting fucked over.
So it's really your fault.
Well, even the other day, I walked out on Saturday or Sunday morning, I walked out with my Spain jersey on, and then I was like, oh, I should check the score. Oh, they just lost. I'm changing shirts.
Impressive.
Yeah. So there we go. We still managed to talk about football, only it wasn't
Football.
the NFL. It was football.
Yes.
So yeah, other than that, I was in Minnesota for a wedding. It was hot and humid. The heat followed us. It was like 107 on Wednesday here in Denver. Well, here in Denver.
It wasn't that hot. It was like 102.
Yeah, 103. 103.
Yeah.
Well, I saw a thing that said it hit 105, which was tied the all-time record for Denver.
Wow.
But
okay. Well, I was working in that, and it was hot.
Yeah.
Ant was actually going to come into the yard and make fun of us for how hot it was, and then he got out of his car, said he felt bad, and then just walked inside.
It would have been too mean.
So it was really hot here in Denver, like Wednesday and Thursday, and even a little bit, I think, on Friday. But we left Friday morning, and then on Saturday in Denver, it was like 70s.
It was very nice.
Meanwhile, it was like 70s on Thursday in Minnesota where we were when we landed that day. We got off the plane at 11:30 at night, and they're like, and the local temperature is 88 degrees with 72% humidity. It's like, fuck. So it was brutally hot all weekend in Minnesota and stupid humid. Basically, all I ever have to do is leave Denver, and I remember why I like low humidity.
Yeah. Also, the best place for all of your local weather reports.
Indeed. Correct.
The Mile High Game Guys.
But the reason I want to talk about my trip to Minnesota was because I got to visit a game store that reminded me very much of Black and Red here, in that it was just an eclectic assortment of random junk. Like, there were action figures and things from like my childhood. I was in heaven.
I saw a couple pictures of it. Was it on Slack?
Yeah. I posted a few on Slack. I should post some on Twitter too, but they had some awesome games. Like, they had a good board game section. Apparently that's where Megan's dad goes to get the board games for her and her sister for their birthdays. So he just goes there and tells the guy like, yeah, I need to get a game for Megan, or I need to get a game for Allison. And the guy has bought enough games for both of them that at this point he kind of knows each of their tastes.
It was like,
and so he goes and gets something and brings it back.
Is this what her dad just thinks all board game stores are?
Probably. 100%.
Custom tailored guy that knows everyone by name.
Yeah. Some are.
Yeah.
That's why the friendly local game store.
Exactly. But they had D&D first edition manuals. Like, they had ancient stuff.
Chainmail.
They had actual chainmail. No. They had
that was the name of the original.
Oh, was it?
Yes.
See, I didn't know that.
Yes.
I think the earliest I've ever seen is the AD&D.
Yeah. Chainmail was the original.
I don't know if they had chainmail then.
It was literally like a little pamphlet that was like hand stapled that he was making. And like,
then no, they definitely didn't have that.
I have seen it at board game stores.
Yes, I think they had the first main widely published stuff.
Games Plus in Mount Prospect, Illinois has chainmail behind the counter.
But they had ancient like Avalon Hill War games and things that are like, I was looking some of these up and I was like, holy shit, like this game is like 30 years old.
Well, yeah, that's how I recently was looking into board war games because I like them. I've come to realize, and they're hard to find.
Yeah. So, well, if you're ever in Minnesota, you can go to this tiny town, this tiny hole-in-the-wall place that's just filled with a bunch of other junk. Tons of minis. They had, like, ancient pewter Reaper miniature stuff that had to have been from, like, when Reaper was just getting going.
Probably the original Confrontation stuff.
Yeah. It was ridiculous. I loved it, every minute of it. I was in nerd heaven over there.
I'm sure they had a lot of old GW blisters and stuff like that laying around.
Yeah. Megan ended up buying Darkness, and her sister...
What is that?
So... I don't really know. I don't know enough to really explain the game. I know that Heavy Cardboard has reviewed it in the past. It's pretty popular. And I know that Mike Jones, local gamer here in the Wednesday group.
Local owner of Click Clack, the Japanese edition.
Yes. He brought it to game night a couple of weeks ago. And I've wanted to play it for a long time. It's kind of an area control
How do you spell
game.
it?
Dokmus, Day. Dokums.
Rancor.
Which they had two of them, including the Rancor that I grew up playing with. That is where I came to call them Rancors.
He posted that on the Slack.
Oh, did
he? The picture. And I was like, Rancor.
Yes. When I sent my brother the picture, he even replied back with a misspelling of Rancor that looked like Rancor. And I was like, yeah, because when we were children... I don't think they mentioned the Rancor's name anywhere in that movie.
C-3PO mentions it, I think.
Does he?
I think. Or maybe I'm thinking of the Sarlacc pit.
It definitely talks about the Sarlacc.
Yes. This looks like an abstract strategy game.
Yes, that is a good description of it.
Okay.
But we're really excited to get to play it.
Yeah. It is number 46 overall in abstract on BGG.
Yeah. It's from what I understand, it's a good game. So we're looking forward to getting it to the table.
Yeah.
But now that we've shifted to talking about games, let's talk about what we've actually been playing. Jeff, what about you? What have you played?
I played at Board Game Night. We were at Zuni Street. It was a drama-free evening. No problems at all.
None whatsoever.
That's not what I heard.
No, it's not what happened at all. But
the owner's making good on it, though.
Yes.
So.
But anyway, the game I played was Herbalism, which you got from Deepwater Games.
Correct.
With the playmat.
Yes.
And it's sort of an action selection times 2. I want to do this action and I want to do these colors.
Correct.
And then you're getting information out of other people's hands based on those colors. Like I give you a color, you give me the opposite color of what was on the card. And then you're trying to figure out what those 2 other little cards are for the cure, and you play rounds until you get 7 points. We only played like 2 rounds before I had to leave, but I really like it. That is a fantastic game. I wish there was a little quick reference sheet to know exactly what the actions meant, because it is all just symbols and arrows.
Yes.
And you can get it once you play, but there was definitely some flipping through the rule book when you were off talking, and I had to go look up. It's like, is this one? And trying to remember like what the one that has all 4 does, because that one can change based on what action you do.
That one's the trickiest one because
there's 2 tricky ones in there.
Essentially, for the 5 actions, if you pick a pair of colors, it's pretty much the same, which there's 6 different pairs combinations, I think, maybe 7. But it's when you pick the card that indicates a pair of colors that it changes what all of those actions do.
Yeah.
And is a little bit tricky.
Yep. But yeah, you're trying to trade for information.
Yeah, they kept describing it at the convention as Clue meets Go Fish.
Yeah, I would say that. Where there's like 5, 4, 3, 2, and they're all different colors, and you're trying to get those little pieces of information, and then you're trying to bid or think. You're trying to say like, hey, I think that one of these colors is in there, and I'll get an extra victory point if it is. But then other people can kind of know that you're doing that, and will also do that if they have similar information. Or you can, then once you cure, you follow, and you can say like, yeah, I think you're right, or I think it's a different one, and you can get bonus points because whoever cures first gets the most points, I guess.
Yeah, whoever actually guesses the cure with their answer tile gets the 3 points.
Yep.
Anybody who followed that person gets 1 point, and then anybody who had the correct guessing tile gets another point.
Yeah.
So in theory, you can get 5 points in a round.
Yes.
So the game can end in 2 rounds, but it's pretty rare. It usually goes 3 or 4.
Yeah. I like it. It's got really good art, even though it was dim out on the patio.
It was dark out on the patio.
But I really enjoyed it. I look forward to playing it more.
Indeed.
Yeah.
It's
a fun little game.
Me too. I really enjoyed it.
It's a good condensed box. I'm sure that could be condensed even more.
Yeah,
we actually had to punch it, I think. It was the first time we'd played the copy.
Which it worked out well though. Like, so it not being a super condensed box, like you could easily fit the entire game in like a smaller box than like Hanabi.
Yeah.
Like, but
get the metal tin for Hanabi and then just put it in that.
Right. But what I ended up doing is I actually was able to fold up the mat and get the mat to fit in there. Like it because it's springy, it pushes the lid up, but it fits.
Huh.
So I felt like it was an appropriate size because I can fit the mat in there with it.
Fair enough.
So now I don't have to carry around a mat.
Yeah.
Just throw it in the box.
How long did it take you to play it?
Each round was maybe 4 or 5. I don't know, 5 to 10 minutes, maybe with learning. But it could get down to like 5 minutes a round, no problem.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Or less.
Yeah, I think you could play an entire game with experienced players in like 30 minutes to 7 points.
I also had one other quick game that I played. It was via the computer.
Okay.
I played The Awesome Adventures of Captain Spirit, which is a prequel. It's made by the same people that did Life is Strange, which is an adventure game.
Okay.
Which is fantastic.
I've heard really good things.
Square Enix makes it. I played through it and I fucking loved it. There's a second one coming out, and then this is a free prequel to Life is Strange 2. You're like a 7-year-old, and your dad's an alcoholic and abusive, and you are like playing at home on a Saturday, and your dad's watching the game, and all you want to do with your dad is go and get a Christmas tree, and you kind of have to wait for him to watch the game. And after he makes you breakfast, he grabs the bottle of whiskey and goes and watches this game, and you're like, he's gonna get drunk again. And then you're doing dishes and like fixing the water heater and shoveling the snow outside. But he's all doing it in his superhero outfit, and every time you do an action, you can do it in like a superhero mode, and then it changes the whole world around you into like he's trying to pretend like he's flying a spaceship or something like that, but he's actually flying a spaceship in the game.
Okay.
But then he's just like, playing behind the wheel of the car or something like that.
Sounds pretty depressing.
It is very,
yeah, I was
very
just gonna say.
Powerful. It is free, and I highly recommend. And it only took like 3 hours, if that, to just do everything. And it was really, really, it made a very large impression on me.
Okay.
I liked it a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right on. Ant, what about you? What have you been playing recently?
Well, on the opposite spectrum, I played the most positive game, This War of Mine.
Yeah, it's Captain Awesome is probably just a step above that because it has some lighthearted moments, but This War of Mine has, man,
there was a lot of darkness in this one.
Yeah.
So I actually tried to play Power Grid on Sunday, and then Bullshit Paul kind of made us play this game instead. And
that's right. You were talking about that. We wanted to play one of the new maps.
We were down to play This War of Mine, so we were like, all right, well, we'll play that first, and then I'll bring Power Grid. Because the last time we played it, it took us like 40 minutes to die. Like,
that was fast for This War of Mine.
We got crushed.
Wow.
All 3 people died in round 2.
Holy crap.
And then in round 2, we also got a 4th person that also died as soon as they got here. But this time we did a lot better. I don't really think that it's necessarily that we knew exactly what we're doing as much as we got some really good timings on items, and like we were planning a little bit better, so that was kind of helpful. But we got all the way through the first stage, act, whatever they're called. I don't know. Let's call them stages.
Chapters. I think?
Yeah, first chapter.
And this is like the 3rd time you've played it. Second time.
Second time. Yeah.
Second time. Okay.
So we got through the first.
Are you starting to see the mechanics, how the game works more now?
Yeah, it just takes everything that you think that you're doing well and shits all over it. That's the game mechanic.
But now you're starting to understand.
I understand that it's the game is depressing in text and in gameplay.
Okay.
I don't know how much I like it, but I would definitely play it more times. But so we got through the first chapter. Okay, we were doing pretty well, and we got to the second chapter, and then we were like flush on food. We had cigarettes and coffee and alcohol.
Wow.
Yeah, every time we search, we find mechanical parts and we're like, oh, we already have them all. We can't get any more. Electrical parts. Oh, we already have them all. We can't get any more. And then we got this card that just says, oh, and by the way, you have an infestation of rats. All of your food is gone. All of your coffee, all your cigarettes, all your sugar, everything.
Holy shit.
They ate the damn cigarettes.
What?
So
that is awful.
And that was right before the end of a stage. And then
it was like after scavenging.
Yeah, it was awful. It was before we fed people.
Wow.
And then so we instead of gaining the benefit of everyone decreases something by 1, everyone went hungry because they ate all their food. Everyone got depressed because they ate all the cigarettes and coffee. Everyone got hunger again because we ran out of water because of it. Wow. And then the next turn we couldn't do any actions because everyone was fucked.
Everyone had like action, if that.
But we did have a combat, which was
phenomenal.
It was actually really good because we got a card that's just like, and you do a headshot.
Was this was this on like the guard overnight guarding or whatever?
No, it was the guy that went out. He stumbled up across some thugs, and it was like the very first thing we did on that card. It's you draw the thing, and it was roll
D10.
noise. Roll the noise.
Oh, okay.
So David David flipped over the card, didn't even look up, just rolled the noise. Rolls a 1. He flips over
auto
the thing.
fail.
Yeah,
basically.
auto fail, and then he pulls out the thugs, and then he rolls again and rolls like 3 thugs. 1 comes out with an assault rifle. 1 and 2 come out with pistols. So they have
are very heavily armed.
Yeah.
In comparison.
So we're like, all right, well, we need to run away, but this dude doesn't have enough health to run away. And
because they do combat as you run.
Yeah. And then it was right after the rats. So we're like, well, we can't, we're fucked. We have to fight.
You can't run.
Yeah. So we're like immediately just like, fuck it, headshot. And then we go through and then we shoot the pistol and we go through the rounds, and we actually survived a combat, which was pretty good.
3-on-1?
Yeah. And then
what weapon did you have?
We had a pistol.
Okay.
We had a pistol and a knife.
Okay.
And unfortunately we had a shotgun, but we left it with the guard.
Fair enough.
Which was okay. And then it all just went downhill from there.
Yeah. And then
we were like
then it was worse.
Because they took all our food, and then we go out, and then we have a combat, and we're like, fuck it, this is like, we're getting desperate. And we won that, and we're like, all right, this isn't so bad. And everything got way, way worse. We had new people come in, they're just like, hey, how you doing? Boop, dead. And
dead. It's the death house.
And everything that we did, somehow, it was always like, and you find a group of thugs, and they're all armed. And we're like, well, we can't keep doing this.
Yeah.
So, yeah, everyone died. Everyone died real harsh and depressing deaths. And I think 4 of them committed suicide.
Okay.
I think all 4 committed suicide.
All right, because they ran out of coffee, and cigarettes, and food, and water, and
then we had one person die, which made the other person sad, so she killed herself, and then the last person also got really sad and killed herself.
Okay, that's this game. You get sad and then you die.
Yeah, that's certainly the PC version of it, and I can imagine
the board game version.
The board game does a good job of emulating that.
Yes.
Instead of playing Power Grid,
I would have played Power Grid. I also do want to play this War of Mine.
Yeah.
Want to at least try it out. See how it is.
How many people were you playing with?
We played with 4. So it was Bullshit Paul, Julie, and David.
Okay. Were you feeling the not much to do individually of the game?
No, because we were all so bad at rolling that we wouldn't let anyone roll twice. It was just like, oh, fuck your rolls. I'm rolling now. And then you roll, and then someone else is like, oh, you suck. And then pass the dice again. I feel like 4 people, like, Bullshit Paul had the journal book, so he was reading most of it.
Okay.
And David was shuffling all the cards. I was doing all the tokens, and Julie was kind of managing the board. So I felt like we all had something to do, and we just passed the dice around.
All right.
It was all right.
Right on.
Yeah, I've just heard like solo. Everyone wants to play that game solo.
Yeah, I've read a lot that it's a really good solo game because
you can do everything solo.
Exactly.
But I mean, it's definitely probably more fun with like other people.
Yeah.
I would say the benefit of having at least more than one person is you don't see all the options when you roll the die, because Bullshit Paul will just say, roll the die, and then you'll just read what happens, and it makes it slightly better. Yeah,
and then, the commiseration factor, when things go to shit, you have somebody else who's there with you as everything goes to shit.
Yeah.
Because as everything else goes bad, the other people are doing so bad that you just want to kill yourself as well.
Yeah.
There you go. And that's this War of Mine.
Yeah, that's high. That's actually high praise for this war of mine.
Yeah.
I think that's the only game I played because after last week's podcast, for some reason I just didn't want to play any games for the whole fucking week.
Glad we have that effect on you.
Yeah.
Right,
We did play the Gorge though. That was interesting.
Yeah, we were playing Don't Starve Together a little bit yesterday. They have like an event. If you've ever played Don't Starve, it's basically Don't Starve. But this takes away all of the meters and everything. And you just have 70 different recipes for cooking that you have to do. So you just have farms and cooking ingredients and cookware. And you have to cook things and feed it into a hole and get coins.
So gorge as in gorging something.
Yes.
Not gorge as in like a crossing
canyon,
a gorge canyon
no.
thing.
And it's a really quick thing. So it's timed and you have
5
to...
minutes? 10 minutes?
I think most of the games that we played were 15.
Was it 15?
So maybe it was 10 minutes and we got time added.
Maybe.
But you don't know any of the recipes and it's really fucking hard.
Yeah.
I would assume looking things up would make everything very easy, but
Yeah.
you would hate this.
Good to know.
Yeah. And it's like
But-
three player.
It's interesting because it's real fast.
Okay.
Yeah. And then you have to, and then he has like, I want a dessert. I want a snack. I want something with meat. I want something that's vegetable. And you have this book of recipes that builds up, but you just guess, as far as I know,
Yeah.
on what the recipes are. And it's 3 different ingredients each time.
Okay.
Trial and error, unless you go to a website that tells you what all the recipes are.
Which I imagine a lot of people do.
Yes, because there's a very nice Wikipedia page.
Right on. For myself, besides teaching herbalism to several different people at game night, I also taught Welcome To, which continues to be a hit with everybody who plays it. Megan really enjoyed it.
Flip and fill.
Flip and Fill, the fancy new version of Roll and Write.
I watched you play this for a little bit, and then I needed to go away.
Did you not like the way I was looking?
I just couldn't understand anything that was going on because I have never played a roll and write before.
Yeah, if you don't know what people are doing, it doesn't make any sense. But once you go through a quick little teach, it all kind of makes sense. Whether or not you like it, I mean, that's another thing entirely. But yeah, we took it with us on our trip, Megan and I, but we didn't end up actually getting to play it. Instead, the one game we did get to play was Hanabi. And so we basically took a bunch of little small box, like easy games that we could teach her family / play in an airport. And so on our flights out there, we left Denver and we landed in Minneapolis. And while we were hanging out in Minneapolis, we had like a 3.5 hour layover in Minneapolis. And because shockingly, the airline overbooked the flight, we didn't have seats when we landed in Minneapolis. You know, they were like, go see the gate agent for your seats. But we got to the gate and they were like, we're boarding for this other flight. Come back when your flight's on the board. And then when our flight went up on the board, the first thing they did was make an announcement, be like, there's a lot of standbys on this flight. Just be patient. We will call you up if we need you. Otherwise, you can't do anything by coming up here. And
that's the point of a reservation if you don't save the car. That's the whole point of the reservation.
I've been watching a lot of Seinfeld.
Fair enough.
So we sat down on the floor there by the gate to play Hanabi. And we got off to a little bit of a rocky start when I accidentally burned the second green 4 like right away. But we were easily at 3/4 of the way through the deck before we got our first blue 1 and our first yellow 1. And even then we were still like, we were hitting everything. We were moving right along. We'd eliminated like greens. We knew greens were dead. We got the multicolor, the rainbow 5. We got the blue 5 down pretty quick after that 1 finally showed up. And we were coming down to the end here, and we're down to like the last, 15 cards. And they started doing the, like you could see on the little board where they're starting to assign seats. And Megan kept looking over her shoulder. And it occurs to me saying Megan kept looking over her shoulder while Jules looking over my shoulder kills the audio. So I can't do that. But Megan kept looking over her shoulder at the screen behind her. And I was like, honey, I can see it. Don't worry. And so we're playing. And so she draws the last 5 that we hadn't found yet that could still play. So she had the yellow 1 and she knew it was the yellow 1 and she just drew the other 1. And I just needed to tell her like, hey, you have that 5 now. And so I went, okay, Megan, you have a 5 here and a 5 here. And we still hadn't found the green 5, but we knew the greens were dead. And I told her that clue. And then I go, oh, cool. We got our seats. And she goes, oh, awesome. She looks behind her one more time, comes back. She goes, 5, 5, 5, 5. Okay, it's my turn, right? And I go, yeah. And she takes the new 5 and discards it.
Oh.
And then she looks at it. She goes, Ah, shit, I'm sorry. It's like, we knew we were going to be so close to perfect. Like, the only thing we were going to miss was the greens were going to be dead at 3s.
That was clearly a discardable. If it was a discardable card, there's no clue that should have been given.
Exactly. And she said, yeah, there's no reason you would have told me if that was the green 5. You would have let it just sit in my hand. It's like, I know. We both know this. Come on.
The shame.
But,
Shame.
Was that the only game you played? That one?
Yeah,
of an hobby?
Well, yeah, because then they were like moving right into boarding, and we didn't get to play another one. Because I was like, "Do you want to play again?" She's like, "No, I can't come back from that." I was like,
"Sure,
like, fair enough."
I need to stop.
And then we also introduced her family to snake oil, which could be a whole lot of fun. When I was the mascot, Megan tried to sell me pony lips as a product that the mascot really needs, and she did a great job of tying it into the Broncos. I have to say.
Okay. All right.
I didn't give it to her though. I gave it to somebody else had a better one. But it's a fun little silly game. It's good for sitting around with people who don't really play games and drinking and just laughing at ridiculous shit.
It's on that Cards Against Humanity level.
Yeah.
But you need that like outgoing, need to tell a story kind of personality.
Yeah, you gotta kind of like, it helps if you have a couple people who've played it before and you be like, all right, we're gonna go first so we can really get it going and like talk it up, and then other people can then follow along with that. But
I haven't even played this game yet, but every once in a while I'll be home and like I'll have a sneezing attack from my allergies. I'm like, God, I wish I had the booger patch.
Yes, the booger patch was a great one from the Super Bowl weekend.
2 years ago?
Something like that, yeah.
That was mine. I think it was like for someone like hosting a party. Like I had to come up with.
Yeah, I think it was. It was
somewhere to put your boogers.
Indeed, the booger patch right there inside your lapel.
Yep.
But yeah, so I think that wraps up what we've been playing. And we would normally have a bloody minute, and it's shocking. We have both Ant and Jeff, two of the all-time blood bowlers that ever blood bowled, and neither of them have played Blood Bowl
in the last week. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm supposed to be playing Thursby tomorrow, but his family's in town and he has responsibilities. Bullshit.
bullshit.
I was trying to make him play, but then I didn't he would have had to play like super early or something, and I just didn't want to put pressure on him for the stomping that I'm about to apply to these elves.
Yeah, we'll see, Mr. Missing Your Edge.
Yeah, it's going to be a hard game, but
yeah. And then it's Frank on Skaven.
Yeah, and they play next Sunday as well.
Yeah, so Necro on Skaven, Frank and Phil. Phil, the long 3-time champion or some 2-time champion, 2-time champion.
Both of the dwarves.
And in semifinals right now. Maybe he will win a 3rd year in a row, which would be insane.
He has crazy skill ups.
Yeah.
And crazy stat ups.
Yeah, he's got 2 move 10 gutter runners now?
No, he didn't take the second one.
What?
Gave it wrestle or some bullshit.
Oh, well, he hasn't chosen it yet. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Maybe.
Yeah.
I think he said he wasn't going to take the move up. I mean, why wouldn't he? What, like 2 possible one-turners?
That's insane. On
especially
a season 1 Skaven
with only
team.
2 games left, just snipe it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Put two points on the board and then just slow everything else down.
Yeah. It's the semifinals, so we'll see. I'll be playing some postseason match. David and I are going to play Wednesday in the 4th of July Smash-tacular, I guess is what I've now called it.
I like it.
Yeah. We're both probably the smashiest teams in the league at this point.
Did you guys play each other in the regular season at all?
We did. It was a 0-0 tie.
It was super fucking boring.
With almost no I don't think there was any casualties.
There wasn't.
Yeah.
It was boring.
Yep. So we're going to go at it again and see what happens.
I think you should each take all of the rest of your treasury and burn it on inducements.
Just burn the petty cash.
Why not?
We're not going to redraft. So we'll see what happens. I was going to look up how much that I have.
The TV differential?
I'm at like 1790 and I have 170K to spend. And he has 1620 and 190K to spend.
Not the most exciting, but
no, but may as well, right?
Yeah,
can at least
a couple chainsaws for each.
Yeah, so get murder bowl. What did I call it in Dragonholt? Gore Basin. Yes, the Gore Basin.
I don't know because I wasn't there for Dragonholt.
Yes, it was my Gore Basin orc player, orc brawler, ex Gore Basin player.
Right on.
Yeah, smashing going to happen soon.
Indeed.
So I'm sure I will chit chat about that next week.
That was probably the closest to a minute the Bloody Minute has ever been.
Probably. And it was probably still well over.
It was still over.
But since the Bloody Minute is over, that leads us on into news. Pretty slow news week. Everyone's sort of getting all their stuff together for Gen Con and Essen in October. So a little bit of announcements here and there, but everyone kind of announced all their stuff in the last couple of weeks.
Wow, Gen Con's in a month.
Yes, it is.
Wow.
Yeah. I was like, I visited back home, like what, the weekend before last weekend? I don't even remember. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to be back in like a month.
yeah. Which, I mean, that was the thing, like, the reason I'm not going to Gen Con is because Megan's sister's getting married. It was her dad getting married this past weekend. Now her sister's getting married Gen Con weekend. So it was like, oh, hey, it was nice seeing you for the first time in like 2 years. I'll see you again in a month.
Yep.
But on to news.
First up in news, some disappointing games were announced in the Dragon Ball universe. First up, Dragon Ball Z, over 9,000.
Over 9,000?
As anyone should know, it's actually over 8,000 in the manga, and they fucked it up in the original translation. In Dragon Ball Z Kai, they actually changed it back to 8,000. And when I saw that for the first time, I was like, aw. I was like disappointed that they
fixed it?
That they fixed it, yeah. And he's sort of like not over the top anymore. He's like, oh, it's over 8,000. And then he crushes it and not like screaming his head off at each other. It's like, over 9,000. Wow. There was a lot of memes back in the day before memes were memes about that. You're the Man Now, Dog. Did anyone ever go to that? YTMND?
I think I knew it as YTMND. I never knew that it was You're the Man Now, Dog.
Yes, that's what it stood for. There was a lot of over 9,000 on there that I watched back in my youth. Ant has looked at these games. Garbage, yeah. They don't look good.
I was pretty excited when you said they're coming out with 2 of them.
Yeah. The only other Dragon Ball game I'm familiar with right now is the collectible card game, and that's an instant, like, not even going to touch sort of thing.
There was multiple board games, though.
Not that I'm aware of. The first one is a like bluffing game that you said is very similar to.
Yeah, so over 9,000 looks like it
looks like Cash and Guns.
Yeah, the way you said it was why play this when you could play Cash and Guns. It's not like a reskin of Cash and Guns, but it sounds similar. So essentially, you get 6 tokens from the supply that are either attack, defend, or power up tokens. You pick 5 of them to put on your sheet, and then you send 1 back, and then you randomly choose
flip.
No, I think
it says here on your turn you challenge reveal 1 token on your character at random, determining whether you and other players attack.
That's even dumber.
Yeah.
I thought you were trying to like bluff to, bang bang or not.
I mean, it says at the top use your best bluffing skills, but I don't know. Maybe it's just a terrible explanation, like summary of the game.
You like draw it randomly and look at it, and then you have to bluff what it is.
That could be.
Yeah.
Either way, it's garbage. Garbage.
But yeah, and then like basically,
and then you get levels, and you're trying to get over 9,000.
Yeah, attacking and powering up give you levels. Defending prevents your opponent from getting levels with an attack. It seems silly.
And then there's a Dragon Ball Super game, Heroic Battle. It's like a flicker game. You're using flick attacks to deal damage. And it's using like Goku, Vegeta, Goku Black, and Zamatsu, who are definitely Dragon Ball Super ass characters. I have not watched that, but I have played Dragon Ball Fighters, and they are in that. And I had to look up who the hell they were because I had no fucking clue. There's also some weird Anubis thing. I don't know. There's gods or something now.
Yeah, he's a god.
Yeah, but you can like save up Dragon Balls and make wishes in this game.
I sure.
Yeah. They don't really explain much besides that. But apparently there's like destructible buildings included in the game.
I think it's just a piece of cardboard that you stand up, and if you knock it over, it's destroyed.
I'm sure that's something that's... these don't seem like the most in-depth games that are coming out. But there's Dragon Ball board games that exist now.
Sure.
Yeah, because I wasn't aware of them before. And that's Dragon Ball. That's your Dragon Ball news for the week.
Indeed.
I just finished watching Kai the other day.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I've watched all 98 episodes, I think, of the recut.
How far does it go?
End of Cell.
I do kind of miss the drive back from Geekway listening to the
All Systems Goku.
All Systems Goku.
Yeah.
That was for because I'm in the same boat as them. Like I have 0 ties to Dragon Ball. So like, it's funny hearing them like having never seen the episode they were talking about, hearing them talk about the episode,
Yes.
and it living up to all of my incredibly judgmental, stereotypical impressions of Dragon Ball Z. It was great. I loved it.
Still, my favorite part is in there when they talk about Cell. He has like a stinger that he sucks people up with, and all they do is call it sucking people off the whole time. He sucked off this guy, sucked off that guy, sucked off the androids. They're definitely doing it on purpose, and I love it.
Oh, next up on news.
Yes. Next up on news, Board Game Geek is entering a new partnership with Spielworxx and the Geek Store for a new game, Ground Floor.
Well, not just a new game. Ground Floor is just the first.
Oh, yes.
So
new games.
Yeah, so Spielworxx, which is ran by Uli, who gave me the ambassador of board gaming moniker.
Twitter.
Yeah.
Name.
Well, I found the Twitter amazingly, available.
Ah.
But he was the one who dubbed me the ambassador of board gaming.
I see.
But yeah, so he runs Spielworxx, or works with Spielworxx, and Spielworxx is partnering up with the BGG Geek Store to where the Geek Store will now be the North American source for Spielworxx games. So if you want to get any of their games, you get it through BGG Store now.
Yeah, which have they always had full ass games on there?
For a while.
I've noticed that in the last year or two that they've done that.
Yeah, they've had them for a while, but I think they're really stepping up their game in that regard.
Gotcha.
Recently.
That's where I get all my promos.
Yeah. But Ground Floor is the first of them, second edition of Ground Floor, and it is available now for pre-orders.
1,000 copies.
Yeah, it'll go quick.
Yep. Coming out in August. I wonder if they'll have it at Gen Con available at all.
I
guess it's shipping, but...
Yeah, I don't know, especially because I don't think Uli is going to be at Gen Con. Coming from Germany to the U.S. for every major convention is not always feasible.
No.
But, yeah. And hopefully we'll be having an interview maybe with Uli in the near future.
Yeah.
They also recently announced that, I don't remember who it was, but some company has picked up for a second edition the original Spielworxx game of Colonialism, which is a older, heavy game that is Colonialism, the game. And but it does a good job of like using old style art and things that the old political cartoon type art.
Okay.
That makes it like very clear that the colonialism is not a good thing. Like the box cover is a like ball and chain, like shackle, like slavery style. Like it takes a very dim view on colonialism.
I'm sure
as you then do colonialism.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, more information to come on games that they will be releasing through the Geek Store. But for now, go get in your pre-orders of Ground Floor while it lasts.
Indeed. And last up on news, there's a new Terraforming Mars expansion, but it's not that one that's still not out yet because now there's another new one.
Another.
Yes, coming out. Terraforming Mars Colonies and due out in October.
Yes.
Because I think August is Prelude, and 2 months later, Colonies is right up your butt once again.
Correct. Yeah. Just in case you forgot about Terraforming Mars, here's more Terraforming Mars.
Finally, more Terraforming Mars.
Yes. So this one, it's another one where it adds more of the same in some regards. It adds 49 new project cards, 5 new corporations. But the big thing that this one adds is colonies. So, like the Callisto Penal Mines, which is a card in the base game, now Callisto is a colony where you can actually go and do some work colonizing Callisto. And I'm not entirely sure how these work.
Nope, there's no real details on specific mechanics, but there's going to be like trade fleets in between these moons that you'll have to go in between. I assume they'll take time of some sort. I mean, it's all generations in the game, so I assume there's some sort of... Is it going to be 20 years in between each shipment from Callisto?
Right. But it's interesting because they've got like, indications for like a colony bonus for Callisto that's 3 energy tokens. Trade income is an X, like a times energy. And then there's definitely a track that's 0, 2, 3, 5, 7, 10, 13. And the first 3 of them are energy production iconography.
Yeah.
So it's tricky to know exactly how they're going to work. Some of the new cards are redonkulous. Like the warp drive, it takes 5 science tags, but when you play a space tag, you pay 4 money less for it.
Yeah,
and it's worth 2 victory points. That's
it only
stupid powerful.
It only
card.
costs 14.
Yeah, I mean, the 5 science tags is definitely the limit on that. The tricky thing on that one, but
but with like the new corporations that they're adding and things like that,
the prelude cards that can have science tags.
I mean, just what they show for cards on the back of the box, there's more science tags on those. They'll be adding more of the new Venus tags and stuff that were added. So like the floaters, are in this expansion.
Does the Calypso thing, is that probably going to be like a sideboard?
Yeah, so they're like a bunch of little sideboards for the colonies, and I believe there's 14 different colonies.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're going to play with all of them, but you'll certainly play with a good chunk of them.
Yeah.
Can you play this on, what's the other, what was the,
Sorry,
the other
11
board?
colonies.
What's the other board?
Europa.
No.
I know you're
I want to
talking
say
about
Hellas.
Hellas and Elysium.
Hellas and
Oh, yeah,
Elysium. But I was thinking of the beer.
Yes, you can play with both of them.
Oh yeah, that's just sort of the base board that you play on. But yeah, Terraforming Mars Colonies, another expansion, even more Terraforming Mars, and I'm surprised it's coming so soon.
Yep, and it got an MSRP of $29.95, which for as much new stuff as this adds, that seems like actually a surprisingly reasonable price.
Yeah, it's gonna be adding like plastic trade fleet tokens. And then a trade fleet tile, which I don't think they actually show the trade fleet tile or anything.
I didn't see anything that I thought was it. Reference tile, rule sheet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's going to be compatible with all the other expansions. So you can just play the shit out of Terraforming Mars. Its table presence will become even larger.
Right? Yeah. You're really terraforming the galaxy at this point.
Solar system.
That's the word I actually wanted.
Yep.
But
and that's it for news. And then on a hot one there, Terraforming Mars Colonies. That kind of came out of nowhere. And so soon. Maybe I think Prelude will be available at Gen Con and Colonies will be like demoed at Gen Con.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they have it.
So maybe I can go talk to Stephen Bonacore as Mr. Epic and
take him some beer again.
Take him some Baptista.
Yeah.
To get some demos of Terraforming Mars in.
Correct.
Have you heard that story, Ant?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because last time you mentioned it, and I was like, oh, you bring them all my beers.
Yes. Yeah, literally like all of your beers. Next up is Kickstarters. And first up on Kickstarters is The Binding of Isaac 4 Souls. This one has made a lot of money. It has done $133,000 of its $50,000 goal, 12,108 backers, and still 3 weeks left to go.
And I just want to clarify because it sounded like you said 132,000, 133. It's 833.
I'm sorry. Yeah, $833,000.
Yeah, of its $50,000 goal. It hit the 50,000 goal in 1.5 hours.
Yeah, like fucking blew up.
Which is impressive considering the base tier is $25.
Yes, but everyone, I highly recommend the $35 tier, like the other 7,200 people, which gets you the game and the expansion for that extra $10. So this game based off of Binding of Isaac, the PC game / old Newgrounds Flash game, as it originally started. And it is actually made by Edward Macmillan, who made that game.
Okay. So yeah, this official multiplayer game of Binding of Isaac plays 2 to 4 players and has a ton of stretch goals and things unlocked right now because, again, it's blown through just everything. But essentially, everybody has a different character, like Cain or Isaac, Judas, Maggie.
Lilith,
yeah. And then you have starting items like the D6, the Book of Belial, Sleight of Hand, Yum Heart.
This Kickstarter, I think, blew out every single expectation that they ever had for what they were going to do for everything, because they've already hit pretty much every single one of their stretch goals to the point, I think, where they're just sort of jamming out like, let's hit $1 million because I don't know.
Yeah, so the way this game plays essentially is you take turns playing loot cards and using items that kill monsters to give you more item, loot, and soul cards. And essentially you're playing until somebody collects 4 of those souls. It has a little base layout with loot, monster, treasure decks, and the player cards off there in the start. And you take 2 cards from the monster deck, those are the monsters you're fighting. Take 2 cards from the treasure deck. Those are the current items in the store. And then everybody starts with 3 loot and 3 money. Kane always goes first. And if he's not one of the ones playing, then the saddest player goes first, which is very thematic. But you basically do activated items, draw a loot card, and then during the main phase, you can play a loot card, purchase from the store, attack a monster, or activate your player card to do some extra stuff. And then at the end of the phase, you see if anybody has 4 souls. If they do, they win. Otherwise, heal all damage, and then play passes off to the left. So pretty simple little quick-paced card game.
I've heard it compared similarly to Munchkin and how it plays.
I could kind of see that.
I think they, coming into this, have probably looked at some of the negatives of that sort of system and maybe playing around that.
Well, and I don't really see anything that shows
a lot of interaction.
Players being able to pile on to make a monster tougher to beat you.
A lot of fuck you.
Yeah.
But it seems like they've added all of everything you've ever loved about Binding of Isaac into this game. All the loot cards, all the creatures, all the items. There are so many items in that game because it's a roguelite that it would be crazy for them not to do all of that weird batshit insane stuff.
Correct.
I like how this is the 3rd very uplifting game mentioned on this podcast.
Yeah. It's about a small child trapped in a chest and maybe dying from his crazy religious mother.
Yeah, I don't remember what the official...
Your mom is like the last boss. Well, not the last boss, the first boss. The first last boss? There's many last bosses to this game. I assume you have to kill mom, or I guess you just need souls. But I'm sure mom is a boss in here.
I would not be surprised.
Indeed. Yeah, this looks good. I've backed it. It's $35. It can only go so wrong. At this point, I saw like the playmat in here, and I was like, do I get the playmat one for $55?
Playmats are pretty sweet.
They are pretty sweet.
But yeah, that's the Binding of Isaac 4 Souls, the card game.
Indeed. It's going to continue to make $1 billion. Next up in Kickstarters is Elite Dangerous Battle Cards. Just above funded, $25,000 of its $22,000 goal, 327 backers, and just about 3 weeks left to pledge this one, which I recommend at the $66 level because that gets you the whole season of cards, the starter set, and the 3 expansions.
Yes.
That seems to be what most other people are also backing.
Yeah, so continuing the trend of video games into board games / card games. This Elite Dangerous game, this is a 2-player expandable card game is what they're calling it.
Sounds a lot like the words living card game that
you can't say that.
that aren't trademarked by someone.
Yeah, right. But essentially, you are competing against the other player over 3 different zones that have specific missions that you're trying to do in each zone that might determine how you actually go about fighting and what the victory conditions for that zone are. But you play your cards out, and
it's a deck builder.
It is a deck builder. Yep. And you can use even it's not just about fighting. Like they mentioned industrial ships, traders, explorers, miners, and things to influence.
Much like Elite Dangerous itself.
Exactly.
You can have all of those different career paths.
And so depending on what zone you're in, maybe it's a zone where you don't really want combat. You're trying to compete for trading in that zone. And but you play these cards out, and part of the deck building is buying and building new ships and things. And so you need to have some sort of a resource base, which is the other area that those kind of non-combat cards can come into play.
It's dice-based combat, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, well, it can be. So, one of the things that attacks, it just has a fixed 3. So it just always does 3 damage, while another one has a burst damage of 8. So you roll 8 dice that hit on 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah.
Sounds like my kind of attack.
Yeah.
So, and the other thing I think is interesting is it's not simultaneous attacks. Like, when you fight a battle, each ship has a speed rating, and so whichever is the fastest ship gets to do all of its stuff first.
Which makes sense.
If you have a fast ship and it's a strong fast ship, it could wipe out the opponent's ship before they get to do anything.
Yeah,
which is kind of interesting.
But it looks like there's like shields, and then each of the players has karma that they can use for additional little boosts.
Yeah, which they mentioned the karma a couple times. I don't really know how that pool works. Like if you have a set pool at the start, or
it's a limited resource to in the example they used 2 karma to dodge the attack entirely.
Yeah, and on the card anatomy section of the thing, they show that like some cards you have to pay karma to even build the ship in the first place.
Yeah,
which granted the card that they're showing for that is a baller card.
Yeah.
It's like a 60 speed, which from all the cards I've seen, that's by far the highest I saw. It has attack 1 target with fixed 1, burst 4, and remove 2 damage from this card. So it's redonkulous.
Yeah.
Is this a direct like one-on-one game?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's
1v1. 2-player.
2-player,
And you guys-
1v1.
Do you share the pool of cards like whatever the fuck you play? What's the one you like?
Star Realms.
Star Realms, yeah.
They didn't have an example really in here of if it's like trench style or if you're building like crafting a deck.
Yeah.
There is a lot of cards in it.
Yeah, I mean, the very base simple starter deck comes with 60 battle cards, 2 starter decks.
It seems like as a constructible card game, it seems like you are taking all these cards and building a deck out of the cards.
I feel like it's going to be a trench style. I don't think it would make much sense the way they show it with all the different expansions and things to be anything other than trench style, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, but it looks like you are building a deck.
Yes, definitely.
With 4 of the same card, but each of the expansions themselves are like about $15. And there's a bunch of add-ons and stuff, like you can get dice that match each of the different factions and stuff. I haven't played much in... I haven't played any Elite Dangerous. I've only ever really seen it online, streaming, etc. I assume it has a lot to do with that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, that's Elite Dangerous battle cards.
Yeah, it looks good. I kind of want to back it.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, for how much you play Star Realms, you don't think this would be a similar game that you would like?
Yeah, it does. That's why
you do want to back it.
That's why I do want to back it. Yes. It's very spacey and fun. It looks like. Next up on Kickstarters is Dominations, Road to Civilization. Well-funded, $41,000 of its $23,000 goal, 816 backers, and 3 weeks left to go. And then there was one pledge level, $52. You pay $52, you get the game. That's pretty much all there is.
Yep.
Which is nice.
No decisions or anything to make.
It's a nice thing to have on a Kickstarter every once in a while.
Yeah. So they make a lot of bold claims in this Kickstarter. I'm just going to get that right out the gate. But essentially, the game itself plays 2 to 4 players, takes 60 to 120 minutes, and it is a civilization game with kind of a domino mechanic in it, where you're building them. So everybody's a little nation that's trying to grow, and essentially the way it works is it's played out over 3 ages, and each age is played out over multiple turns. And you start in the center of the board with the Cradle of Civilization, and then you play these triangle-shaped tiles to determine how your civilization grows and what resources it has access to. They're pretty abstracted. Like, they show like a resource, like what is clearly like an industry, a culture, a medicine, a war, like, pretty standard Civ type
game
categories
mechanics.
of research, development, whatever.
Yeah. Pottery.
Yeah.
Horseback riding. Nuclear missiles.
Yes. But you're building those out, and that's during the first part of your turn. That's the build phase. So you can build a city, or you can participate in building a monument, which you can actually build, and they've got really cool cardboard tokens for the monuments that are like, they stand up in 3D piece style. But building cities on one of your domino tiles allows your nation to settle, increasing the max of knowledge you can generate. They also allow you to gain additional resources. And then each time somebody places a domino next to a tile where your city is, it activates that city, which gives you additional knowledge. And then if there's a full circle of dominoes that has a bunch of cities, it creates a locus, which is just another way to activate a bunch of cities all at once, which then gives you influence, which you can then use for other things in the game. It's got a bunch of things happening in this game.
But they seem interesting and new, like especially like the domino tile triangle system.
Yeah. But that's the build phase. Then you move into the development phase where you can work on skill cards and things that grant you additional powers and victory points. So like at the start, this is basically the tech tree portion of the game. So you start with just a campfire, but you can grow it into all these other things. Like music. You can get the very nebulous concept of music into your civilization.
Okay. Culture.
Yeah. But so that builds out your civ tree. And that also has an interesting little like tile and pattern building section in it. And that's the 2 parts of each turn. And then after everybody's had 5 turns, that's the end of an age. And like I said, you play 3 ages. to fully flesh out this game.
Yeah, the develop phase reminded me some of what is it, Space Cadets, where you're matching the little color tiles together.
I mean,
It's not-
I
it's
see
not-
what you mean.
It's not timed, but
What
it's
about
matched.
just comparing it to lanterns?
Yes,
probably
lanterns.
what-
or
would be more
what they
appropriate.
compare it to, dominoes.
Sure, but these are
this is-
just colors.
This is just color on color for the
Oh, I see. You
Yeah.
get that section.
yes.
But yeah, and so like I said, it makes some bold claims. Like right at the start, one of the paragraphs they have with various bold sections, which I will try to emphasize with my voice when it's bolded. But it says Dominations is an expert level Euro game, which offers players a great amount of freedom to choose and develop their strategies. The core mechanics of the game are simple yet offer a lot of depth, keeping the game fluid and immersive. Like they went really hard on all of the like selling points here,
A lot of those seem counterintuitive, though.
right?
Yeah.
A fluid and easy Euro game that's very
Expert level.
Expert level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They do have a rule book available. It seems like it's pretty early.
How many wooden tokens are in this?
Not many,
All right, well,
right? Veteran board gamers will be able to draw out all of the subtleties of the game's vast array of possibilities. That's a very long, bold sentence. Whereas novice players can quickly assimilate the core rules before moving on to learn the key elements of the Euro game genre.
Yeah.
So,
It's mostly the dominoes, 90 of those. And then the one of the other cool things, they have like actual wonder standees for the tiles and stuff. So you'll actually have like a 3D wonder on the board when you
I
make
think
it.
the dominoes look pretty cool. I think they
Yeah.
look nice.
no, I think a lot of the components look really cool. It actually sounds like an interesting game, I think. Like, and really, if they hadn't went and bolded all those different things as like bullet points in this paragraph, I wouldn't have been nearly as keen to make fun of them for it.
A lot of very bold statements. Bolded statements?
Yeah, I like the quote from Rado. The best of both worlds for me and Jen. We love civilization. We love ... Well, I didn't know we loved dominoes, but I love these.
Looks interesting.
Indeed. So yeah, go check out Dominations: Road to Civilization.
Yeah, it's supposed to fill July next year. A year.
Yes.
12 months. Yeah, when was Binding of Isaac? November. Couple months.
That was only
Yeah,
couple cards.
seems bold.
Yeah.
Still.
For how big it got. I bet there's some delays on that one.
Wouldn't be surprised.
And that's it for Kickstarters.
Indeed. So yeah, that's the end of news and Kickstarter, which brings us to the listener feedback portion of the show, where we have an email.
Emails at milehighgameguys.com if you would like to send us an email, like the hater Andrew did, titled Bunch of Small Stuff That You're Wrong About. So I want to be a guest again. I can just show up to a recording? Cool. Good to know.
I think it's if I want to be a guest again. But
Oh, yeah. If I want to be a guest again, I can just show up to a recording. Yeah.
correct. That is how that works. 100%.
Yes. The combination of the names of the Low Countries is Benelux. Not great, but better than Delmarva Peninsula, in my opinion. The Delmarva Peninsula.
Do you have literally any idea, even a faint idea, what the fuck he's talking about?
We were
Yeah,
talking
power grid.
about the power grid for Luxembourg, the Netherlands, and Belgium.
That's
and there's
right. That's
a
right.
name
That's right.
for all that, which is Benelux.
Okay.
which is the map I wanted to play on Sunday.
Yeah, it seemed interesting. Malort only exists because there are people that haven't had it that can be conned into having one shot, usually by people from Chicago who have been forced to drink it by other people and feel like passing on the trauma. That is 100% accurate.
It's like hazing.
Yes, it's Malort hazing. That is 100% true, and that is the only reason I have ever had or put Malort upon other people.
I'm just really happy that I learned from everybody else how terrible Malort is so that I don't ever have to have Malort.
Just saying, if it shows up, you have to have it.
No.
Part of knowing is like you have to do it at least once.
No.
That's the rule.
I might like dip a finger in a little splash
God.
of it.
Oh, God. Just thinking about it's terrible. It's bad. It's worse than you can imagine. It's bad. Do it. Everyone do at least one if you're 21 years or older.
Or if you live somewhere like the rest of the world where 21 is not the drinking age.
That's true. But you probably also won't be able to get Malort there.
Fair point.
I've had a lot of liquor from Lithuania, and it is worse. Than
Worse? Wow. Why Lithuania?
Old roommate.
Okay. Fair enough. In the Barn in Euchre is not just an Alan and Mallory thing.
Before you continue, I want to stress that I didn't mean that In the Barn was a Mallory and Allen thing.
No.
I meant the awkward milking the cow hand motion was a Mallory and Allen thing. In the
Gotcha.
Barn, yes, I do know is a Euchre thing.
Gotcha.
Anyway, now he explains In the Barn.
Yes. It was definitely something I knew about in Michigan and Chicago. It also includes taking the 2 scorecards and putting them behind your ears, I think to symbolize the cow in the barn that is being milked. But mostly it's just a way of gloating that you've almost won.
Yes. So like when I met Mallory and Allen, I knew about the cards behind the ears and like, oh, we're in the barn. What I was surprised by was when they did the whole like turn the thumbs upside down and hold them out for their partner to then milk their thumbs at the table, which is just awkward. And I was like,
Milking happening at the table.
yeah.
Yes.
Hey guys, what do you do in your own time?
A couple of weeks ago, you said that Terraforming Mars was going to keep rising in the BGG rankings. Alas, that's not true, because its average rating is not higher than any of the games above it. I want to say it is at 5 currently. Was it at 6?
No, I think it was at 5.
Was it at 5?
Because he talked to me, this one in particular, he'd mentioned to me like a couple weeks ago, this whole thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, put that in a fucking email, please. Because he did some really cool like stat things here,
Yes.
which we'll hear about.
It's no longer at a point where it's just waiting for more votes to get to where it belongs, given its average rating. In fact, it has just recently passed Pandemic Legacy Season 1 for most votes in that top 4. But there are a bunch of games that would be ahead of it if number of votes were ignored. If you just look at the average rating of games with more than 3,000 votes, the top 10 would be
Blood Bowl.
No.
not on there, unfortunately. Gloomhaven at number 1, Twilight Imperium 4th edition, Kingdom Death Monster, Gaia Project, 7th Continent, Pandemic Legacy Season 1, Through the Ages, A New Story of Civilization, Star Wars Rebellion, Pandemic Legacy Season 2, and then at number 10, Spirit Island. Terraforming Mars just misses out, and only then do you start to get to the games that are more than 3 years old, War of the Ring and Twilight Struggle.
Yeah.
I do have something to add for Lord of the Ring.
War of the Ring?
Lord of the Ring.
Yeah.
I tried to get Julie to play Rebellion and she wouldn't. So I was like, all right, well, you like Risk. Let's play this Lord of the Rings game I got.
Oh, God.
She went and got the box. She's like, this one? I was like, yeah. It's easy. Just open it up. She opened it up. She took the boards out. She's like, fuck no. No. She looked at the minis. She looked at the minis. She's like, fuck no.
I know exactly the emphasis on every word she put into that.
Yeah. She's got a very distinct speaking pattern.
Yes.
Fuck no. No.
You almost tricked her. Was it going to be with all expansions as well?
No, I was just with the Lords.
Okay.
But anyway, the thing that I think is interesting there is it shows even more what we're already seeing in the regular top 10, that older games, don't like, as the hobby's growing, people play a lot of the new games that are just coming out, the new hotness that's being talked about. They're not going back and playing the old games. So
Unless you're people like us,
who
our game group in general.
Yeah, well, we just have a huge game group, and so people bring, games from all over,
Yes.
to the game night. But even our game night skews fairly regularly towards the new hotness.
Of course. Or bullshit dexterity.
Or bullshit dexterity.
Gaia Project, number 4.
I've heard, really, I keep hearing, like, I heard a little bit of mixed things where people initially were like, it's just more Terra Mystica, I don't care.
Mhm. It's
But
like
then-
sci-fi, right?
Yeah, but then more people that I've actually trust their opinions on have played it and say it's significantly different enough to be its own thing, and that it's actually really pretty good.
Does anyone own it?
Not in our immediate friend group, I don't think.
Someone definitely played it. I think Heather played it at the anniversary party.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Okay.
Because Heather loves Terra Mystica.
Oh, loves it. It's at every it was at every Magic and Mimosas for quite some time.
Yeah. But then you also see a lot of those are Kickstarters, and I've noticed Kickstarters before the game's ever even delivered, before anybody even plays it, are ones, and we saw
Fucking annihilating
where they're going way up in ratings. And we saw that really big the first time when Pandemic Legacy Season 1 was going up against Twilight Struggle for the number 1 spot. And people all of a sudden just were like, well, fuck rating what I actually think it's rated. I'm going to rate it a 10 because I want it to win, or I'm going to rate it a 0 because I don't want it to win or pass.
or going to Twilight Struggle and rating it 0.
Yeah, vice versa on both sides of that.
Yeah.
And then you see that with Kickstarters and all kinds of things, especially the Kickstarters that blow up and get huge and popular, and it's hard to say we've talked before about the idea that if you drop $200 on a Kickstarter game, you're probably a little biased into trying to convince yourself that you didn't waste that $200, then it's actually a great game.
Yeah.
In fact, it's the greatest game.
And then immediately someone comes in, rates it a 0, and says, "Don't worry, I'm just slowing down the hype train."
Yep.
Yes,
It's
exactly.
like,
which is equally bad.
I'm just trying to balance out all the 10s.
Yeah. All of which is stupid.
Yes.
So
I've played 10 of these 13 games, and they're all some of my favorite games,
yeah, there's a lot of really good games on that list.
except maybe Spirit Island.
I like that game.
Spirit
Sorry.
Island is fantastic.
It's okay.
Spirit Island is probably my favorite on that list. Of
It's a
those
lot of-
of the 10 they listed, Spirit Island is not probably that is my favorite of those 10.
It's probably a tie between Kingdom Death Monster and Star Wars Rebellion.
I haven't played Kingdom Death Monster. I don't think I'll like it.
Yo, I don't think you will either. But you should come and just at least watch.
I do want to do that.
and
for
just
sure.
kind of see what happens.
Yeah.
Because it is entertaining. It is an entertaining game.
Yeah, on to the next email. Very late comer email that just showed up.
This next email comes from Ant, who's sitting right across from me, titled "Zach is a chump for skipping the podcast."
Is the subject.
Is the title.
or the title, yeah.
Yes, and then he continues, "That is all."
And that definitely came in the last 15 minutes.
Yep.
So
I concur with this email.
Concurs. I concur.
Oh, fantastic.
And that's it for emails. Emails at milehighgameguys.com if you would like to send us an email.
Indeed. We had another comment over on YouTube from Paulo, but it was his answer to the Viking funeral thing for Twitter. So not anything. I'm not reading all of the other ones of those, so I'm not going to read that one because it was just part of that.
Yes.
No new BGG posts other than the plethora of them that we are getting in for the giveaway,
Mm-hmm.
which is still ongoing for just under a week at this point when you're hearing this.
Monday at noon Mountain Daylight Time?
Yes,
what is
we
it?
got corrected. It's
Yes.
apparently supposed to be, we've been saying Mountain Standard Time.
Yes,
It's Mountain Daylight because we're in Daylight Savings right now.
Yes. But even though everyone agrees that Daylight Savings is bullshit.
It's fucking stupid.
Yep.
Mountain Time. We'll just start saying Mountain Time.
Mountain Time.
Noon Mountain Time on Monday, the 9th.
But on BGG, there is a fantastic post about top 5 hat style debate.
Which is exactly what I was going to bring up because I can't believe we've forgotten to talk about this for like a week. This was posted back on Wednesday, June 27th.
when the episode came out last week.
Yeah, okay, so it's a week old. So we didn't forget to talk about it on the show. It felt older than it actually is. But Andrew, who actually, I totally forgot. I've played way more games because Andrew was in town and I played fucking Indonesia with him. Andrew, I'm sorry, I totally spaced on that. He's going to be listening to this episode.
You should probably just talk about it now and cut it into the beginning.
No, Andrew didn't want to play Blood Bowl with me. I gave him a tour, and I asked him if he wanted to play Blood Bowl, and he said no.
Wow.
Screw him.
Yeah.
Forget it.
Yeah.
He deserves to be forgotten.
But yeah, so Andrew came into town. He stopped by the brewery on Thursday. Jeff and I got to meet him. He recognized Jeff.
I went into the tap room to get water because I wasn't reading the Slack because I was busy working. And I needed more water because it was like 100 degrees out.
It was stupid hot.
And I walked in there and he's like, "You must be Jeff." And I was like, "You must be Andrew, that person that I know that's coming in to visit the city of Denver." And said hello, set him up with some beer. And then I went to go get you because I had work to do, and you could go be the ambassador of board gaming.
Well, except I kept working for like another 45 minutes to an hour before I actually went back up front.
Yes.
And then hung out with him. But yeah. So Andrew came into town with his brother-in-law, and they were in town for the whole weekend to hang out and play some games. They picked a great weekend because it was, of course, the weekend when Zach went to go help his mom move, and I went to a wedding.
Yes.
So really glad we coordinated that well.
But we had a coordination of friends.
Exactly.
That are all hardcore board gamers.
Well, the funny thing is because he'd posted in the Slack channel a while back, like, "Hey, I want to plan a trip to Denver. Like, how's this weekend look?" And I'm pretty sure that Zach and I both were like, "Oh yeah, that looks great."
Great.
And then like a month later, like as it was getting like 2 or 3 weeks out, it was like, "Oh shit, we both forgot we were going to not be here this weekend."
Yeah.
But luckily we were able to make things work. So hung out with him for a little bit at Epic. Ant gave him a tour where he showed him all the cool behind the scenes brewery stuff.
Ant knows some of the most information about the brewery.
Yes.
Lots of it.
Yeah.
It was weird because I never checked Slack. And then the first thing I saw when I opened up was just him posting pictures of the breweries in the neighborhood. I was like, I don't know who you are. Do you want to come to Epic and I'll give you a free tour? And then he was like, yeah, let me finish at Rack House and I'll be right there.
Yeah. He took a picture of our Battle of the Bands award.
Yes.
Yeah. That was Cal, Eric, and Jake at the Rack House.
The Ascots? Is that what they're
Yes.
called?
Yep.
The Ascots.
Yep.
But yeah, so I played a little silly card game with him at Epic for a little bit. That was kind of a fun little trick-taking game. I think I need to try and find a copy to play with. Like, if you like Indulgence, which we've reviewed, if you like Indulgence, I think you like this one. I'm drawing a total blank on the name. Sorry about that. But then he came over here to the house, and it was him, his brother-in-law, Doug, myself, Megan, and Wes, and the 5 of us played a 5-player game of Indonesia.
That's a lot of players.
That's the max
maximum
player
amount of
count for
players.
Indonesia, but that is also the, in theory, shortest length of time that Indonesia will play in.
It's true.
Because the way that game plays, more players actually moves the game along. It was a good game. Andrew actually won. I was the only one at the table who had played before. Well, no, Megan had played once. Megan hated her first play. She played, I think, with you, Paul, Zach, and myself.
Yeah.
So it was another 5-player game.
On the volcano board.
Yeah, and she fucking hated that playthrough of it.
I think I won that one, or was very close to winning.
I think you did, because, and part of the reason she hated it is because Zach, Paul, and I turned it into a spite merging, hate each other, ruin each other's plans game.
And I was playing Rice King in the tiny
corner.
the tiny islands all the way across.
Yeah, and so she didn't like that. She didn't like how spiteful it got. Like, she didn't feel like it was mean from a strategic standpoint, which she's fine with other games that can get mean that way. She felt like it was a mean, like, oh, I'm angry at you right now, so I'm going to just be mean to you. She liked it better the second time. She still doesn't care for it. She suffers from a problem that a lot of people do playing this game. She gets too attached to her companies. You got to be willing to let those fuckers go. You got to just let them go. But yeah, Andrew won. It was a good game. Had some fun with it. And then me, him, and Paul stopped by for the very end of it. And then we played Paul's newest bullshit dexterity game, which I don't remember the name of, but it's a big disc that balances on a little pole, kind of like that one you were trying to get him to buy already. But you start with a bunch of wooden blocks all over it, and you got to have it's a game in and of itself just to set it up, because you have to get it to this big disc with all these wooden blocks on it to balance. And then you just go around, and on your turn, you have to take a block off and not make it dump. And that's the base game. And then at the end, just whoever has each block is worth a point. And if you dump it, you lose 3 points. He has a variant that he's going to specifically buy a cooking scale for, a kitchen scale.
Okay.
Because there's a variant where the winner is whoever has the highest mass of blocks at the end of the game.
Okay.
So he's going to
the weightiest.
Yes. So, but that was a lot of fun too. So yeah, those are 2 more games that I played that I forgot to play. Anyway, all of that just to say that Andrew put up this post on BGG, the top 5 hat debate. And so there's an excellent post over on our Board Game Geek guild number 2731, where there's some debate over hats, especially at the end where Zach claims that if it doesn't have a brim, it's not a hat.
I disagree.
Yeah, he said he doesn't wear hats. I was like, bullshit, I've seen you wear a beanie a lot.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, a beanie's not a hat.
It's a hat.
A beanie is definitely a hat.
It's a head covering.
Yeah.
Does not it commonly with a brim of some sort, but
very common.
But does not need to be mandated to have that to be called a hat.
Indeed. So
using the strictest definition of hat.
So everyone go over there to the BGG guild and tell Zach how wrong he is about beanies being hats.
This is another thing that Adrian and I agree on.
I know, right?
And wait, unanimous decision.
Unanimous.
Zach is wrong.
Yeah. That was a vote, not a high five, Jeff.
I know.
Oh, you looked like you were going for the high five.
That's just where this was. It's just where it was.
I'm sitting in Zach's seat. He wouldn't have touched your hand.
Oh, of course he would. Zach and I high five over Adrian all the time.
It's true. But yeah, so jump over to the BGG guild and tell Zach how wrong he is about beanies not being hats.
Indeed.
It's going to be even better because I'm pretty sure Zach's never going to listen to this episode. So he's not going to hear us actually talk shit about him.
No. Maybe he'll get bored on his drive.
Maybe.
Will he be there by Wednesday?
Probably.
Hopefully.
Yeah, because he gets back into Denver Wednesday night.
Okay.
So I think he gets in Tuesday evening, sleeps Tuesday night,
gotcha,
and then flies out Wednesday morning.
Wow.
Yeah.
Flying on the 4th of July.
Actually, probably not a bad day to fly, to be honest.
No, probably not.
Indeed. that wraps up all of the listener feedback for the show. Do have to give a quick shout out to our newest patron over on patreon.com/milehighgameguys. And that is Jake from our fellow Gray Fox Games sponsorship podcast friends, Gray Fox crew.
There was a name for it. That
Fox Buddies.
Yes.
It was in the email that we got sent. So
from Alex, yes.
The Fox Buddies are MHGG, DM, and BGB.
Yes.
Which is Mile High Game Guys, Draft Mechanic, and Board Game Blitz. But Jake runs Draft Mechanic, which is another podcast that's also in Punchboard Media.
Mhm.
And he is now supporting our show for $1.99.
Yeah.
So
Thank
you, Jake,
Yes.
for taking that awesome step.
And especially all of the beer that you brought.
And also all of
from,
the beer.
God, Asheville, North Carolina, the big brewery out there.
Burial.
Oh, Burial is the big one?
Well, the Burial's the one where they live that they bring a lot of beer from. Like that's like their main one. That's where they do their game nights.
Mhm.
They're really close to Burial, so they bring a lot of Burial beer.
Yeah, that was fun to drink.
Indeed. But yeah, thank you for supporting us. We really appreciate that. And you threw on the extra 99 cents, so Jeff does not get to berate you.
No.
It still has the $1 sign in the front
it's
of
true.
it. So
It's true.
It's close.
It's not quite the $1
No.
it's like he donated the $1, but just so you didn't yell at him, threw the change at you.
I really want to see somebody do $1.01.
Yeah.
A new one. Nobody modify your pledges. I want to see $1.01 come in.
Yes.
And then we get a debate about whether or not that's whether we round down. Do we round? Is it?
Yeah.
Are we super strict? I don't know.
It's true.
We'll find out.
Maybe they just need the $1 and a cent.
But yeah, we also do, speaking of Gray Fox Games, we have a giveaway that they are helping us by sponsor. It is a giveaway for Champions of Midgard with the Valhalla expansion. There are multiple ways to enter that, and it goes for, at the time you are listening to it, for 5 more days. It goes until Monday, July 9th at noon Mountain Time. And the ways you can enter that, you can go over to our Twitter account at MHGameGuys and send us a tweet tagged with the hashtag MHGG Midgard and tell us what 3 games you would have burned on your Viking pyre funeral to take with you to the halls of Valhalla and play with the heroes of the ages.
Mm-hmm.
There have been some fantastic answers. Even better is like, so some people are just clearly doing the, letter of the law. They're just giving us the 3 games.
Yes.
The better ones are people who explain why some of those games, like, I have to, I'm playing these with like the heroes of all time. Like, these are the ones I'd want to play with them. And here's why. So that's pretty cool.
It's only you only have so many characters.
Exactly.
In Twitter, but
I would bring coconuts so I can see how the Viking warriors play with these little monkeys throwing the poop.
Exactly. It's fantastic reasoning.
Yeah. Bullshit dexterity games to bring into the halls of Valhalla.
The other way you can enter is you can send us an email.
Emails at milehighgameguys.com.
And in that email, we want to know what your favorite Mile High Game Guys moment is. Some people have been interpreting that as episode, which is fine, I suppose. That's cool. Some of my favorite ones are like, this episode, because it's the first time I've listened to your show.
Yeah.
Like,
great.
Cool. Well, hopefully many more. And then the third way to enter is to go over to our Board Game Geek Guild, guild number 2731, where there is a thread up titled
Champions of Midgard giveaway! !
Indeed. And that has the exact rules and wording that we're looking for in this one. There is a little bit of contention in the comments about what exactly we're looking for. So essentially, Paulo came to our defense here through a bunch of it and was like, you guys are doing it all wrong. But not everybody is, Paulo. Because we are fine with it being a long activity that it still takes less time than the show. Like, so you can do Mile High Game Guys, the show you can listen to in less time than it takes you to learn a Splatter game. Because you're still saying it, you can listen to it in less time than it takes you to do this really long activity. If you do something where, you can, do the long activity in the time it takes to listen to an episode, that's fine too. The ones that aren't fine are the ones who have things like, welcome to Board Game Blitz, a podcast that you can listen to in less time than it takes to learn how to play a Splatter game. We're not Board Game Blitz.
It's true.
We are blatantly stealing their intro for this contest, which they're cool with. Crystal had gotten a hold of me and was like, I think this is awesome. I can't wait to hear what some of the ones that come up are. But if you're just copy and pasting, we you have to at least change the name of the show to the name of the show whose contest you're entering.
Indeed.
That's a low bar. I mean, again, we don't set the bar high.
We can't jump over many bars.
No.
So we don't make you do it either. We pass the bar savings on to you.
Yes. So those are editable. So if you go back and you edit those, if you're one of those people and you're listening now to another episode of us, you can go back and edit it and I'll count it. If it still says Board Game Blitz on Monday, July 9th, I'm not counting that. You're not entered for that. If you can't put our name in there, come on, man. Like, we fully expect there to be people to enter this who have no interest in listening to the show. They just want a game. That's cool. That's fine. But get it right. At least get the show right. That's all I ask.
Minimal effort.
Minimal.
Just participation.
Indeed.
That's the only way you pass gym class.
Oh, geez. But yeah, so go enter the contest and hopefully win yourself a copy of Champions of Midgard with the Valhalla expansion, courtesy of our sponsors, Gray Fox Games. Yeah, if you want to get a hold of us, there are a plethora of ways to do that. You can always send us emails.
Emails at milehighgameguys.com.
You can get a hold of us over on Twitter, where I tweet under @MHGameGuys.
I tweet under Jeff_MHGG.
Ant, you want to plug yours again? Baptist season's coming.
I am Barrel_Overlord.
And the absent Zach is Zach_MHGG. We have our Board Game Geek Guild that we mentioned for the giveaway there. Guild number 2731. Go join it. Participate in discussions like top 5 hats and giveaways and episode discussions, all of that kind of stuff. You may have noticed there's not an episode discussion up for this week, and that's because there originally was not going to be a Friday episode without Zach. We didn't have a chance to really play any games together. We were all off doing a bunch of different things recently, and so we just were going to skip Friday, but we decided you can't be the most podcast if you take days off. So we're not going to take Friday off. Instead, we're going to finally go back, and our last giveaway before this one, we got a bunch of emails where we were wanting to hear people's board game disasters.
Indeed.
And we just haven't had time to get to them in normal episodes.
Because we are the most podcasts.
Exactly. So we're just going to have an episode dedicated entirely to board game disasters.
Indeed.
Where we're going to go through all of those emails.
Absolutely.
We're going to get caught back up. So
maybe some of our own.
Maybe some.
Indeed.
But there wasn't a thread up for it because that was kind of a last minute decision. So, Plus Zach was gone and he puts up the threads usually. So, yeah, you can also find us Facebook and Instagram /MileHighGameGuys. You can support us financially over on patreon.com/MileHighGameGuys. You can support us non-financially by going to your podcast app of choice and rating/reviewing us. Giving us that little ego boost there of seeing new ratings.
Yes. Reviews. They're important. Yeah. I haven't seen new reviews in a while, so
I don't check super regularly, so there might be new ones.
Maybe.
Also, another huge thing you can do to support the show in a non-financial manner is talk about us on the interwebs. Board Game subreddit, on the Board Game group on Facebook, anywhere on Board Game Geek, anywhere like that. If people are talking about awesome podcasts and you think we're an awesome podcast, feel free to mention us. And yeah, that pretty much brings it all to a close. Huge thanks to our sponsors, Gray Fox Games, again, for both the contest and for the sponsorship. If you are looking for yet another Mars game, their new game, Pocket Mars, will be debuting at Gen Con, releasing at Gen Con, and you can pre-order it right now over on grayfoxgames.com for $15, shipping in August. This is a fast little card game, 15 to 30 minutes for 1 to 4 players, where you are going to be moving your colonists from Earth to your space shuttle to Mars with the hopes of being the person with the most colonists on Mars at the end of the game. So yeah, go check that out. Jeff, do you have a prepared statement to go along with Pocket Mars?
I have 2 prepared statements.
2.
They did a Follow Friday on Twitter where they did Pocket Mars, but each of the first letters was a letter from like one of the people you should follow.
Yes.
We were the M in Mars, yeah, which I enjoyed.
Yes, I appreciated that as well.
That took some effort.
Indeed.
But as always, Gray Fox Games, quality games, cleverly crafted. Also, hurt me more, make me feel alive again.
Fantastic.
That
really kind of sums up the underlying unspoken attitude of the Mile High Game Guys.
Indeed.
Hurt us more, make us feel alive.
Should get that on the next round of business cards.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Oh, geez. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. As always, I have been your host, Adrian.
And I'm not sick anymore, Jeff.
And thanks for joining us, Ant.
I love Blood Bowl.
Bye.
Bye.
Punchboard Media,
where we all
bring something
to the table.
pull up a chair
at punchboardmedia.com.